To build a legacy of understanding, we have to start by asking a question that nobody in finance school ever taught you. What is value, really? Not the number on a price tag. Not the balance in your account. Not the quarterly earnings report sitting on some executive's desk. I mean the actual foundational concept of value itself. Where did it come from? Who decided what it meant? And why does the answer to that question explain almost everything broken about the way we think about money, success, and ourselves today? Stick with me, because what I'm about to walk you through goes back over 500 years, and it's going to permanently change how you see modern banking. Welcome back. If you're new here, this channel exists to do one thing: bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and the modern financial world. Because here's the truth that Wall Street doesn't advertise. Every system handling your money right now was built on philosophical assumptions made centuries ago by people who were wrestling with the exact same questions you are. Who am I? What does success look like? How do I measure what matters? And nobody understood this intersection better than the Medici family of Florence. We are in Season 2 of the Master Ledger series, and today we're diving into Episode 6, which I'm calling the Medici Blueprint. Last season, we established the ancient roots of economic thinking. Now we move into the Renaissance, and this is where things get genuinely fascinating. This is where banking stopped being a simple transaction and started becoming a philosophy of the self. Let's set the scene. Florence, Italy, somewhere in the early 15th century. The Medici family is quietly becoming most powerful banking dynasty in the Western world. They are financing popes, kings, and entire governments. But the tool that makes all of this possible isn't gold. It isn't political connections, although those certainly help. The real secret weapon of the Medici Empire is something far less glamorous: double-entry bookkeeping. Now I know what you're thinking. Bookkeeping? That's the big revelation? Bear with me, because this is where philosophy sneaks into the accounting ledger and completely rewires human thinking. Before double-entry bookkeeping existed, financial records were essentially just lists. Here's what came in. Here's what went out. Simple, linear, one-dimensional. But double-entry bookkeeping introduced something radical. Every single transaction gets recorded twice. Once as a debit and once as a credit. Every action creates a mirror. Every movement of value has a corresponding reflection somewhere else in the system. Think about what that does to the human mind over time. When you build an entire civilization around the idea that every financial event has two sides, you start unconsciously applying that framework to everything. You start seeing the world in terms of exchange, balance, and reciprocity. You start asking, not just what did I gain, but what did something else lose? Not just what is this worth to me, but what is this worth in relation to everything else? This is the philosophical earthquake that the Medici banking system quietly triggered across Europe. It didn't just change commerce. It changed the concept of the self. Because for the first time in history, a person's identity could be systematically tracked, measured, and compared against an external standard. Your worth was no longer just a matter of bloodline or divine favor. It was now quantifiable. It was in the ledger. And here's where it gets complicated, because that shift brought extraordinary progress and a deeply dangerous confusion. The progress is obvious. Accountability, transparency, the ability to scale commerce beyond what any single person could track in their head. These things built the modern world. But the confusion is the one we are still living inside right now. When profit becomes trackable, when success becomes measurable in precise numerical terms, the human psyche starts to make a catastrophic substitution. We stop asking what does it mean to live well and start asking how do the numbers look? We swap the ancient philosophical question of a good life for the modern financial question of a profitable quarter. And the Medici, brilliant as they were, never stopped to write that warning in the ledger. So here is the value audit I want you to perform in your own mind right now. Ask yourself honestly. When you think about success, are you using your own definition, or are you running double-entry bookkeeping on someone else's ledger? Are the debits and credits you're tracking actually connected to what you believe matters? Or have you inherited a system of measurement that was designed 500 years ago for an entirely different purpose? Because here's what the Medici Blueprint actually teaches us if we're willing to look past the accounting lesson. Systems of measurement shape systems of meaning. The way you track value determines what you come to believe is valuable. And if you never audit that tracking system, if you never look underneath the ledger at the assumptions baked into its design, then you are not managing your life. The ledger is managing you. This is what I mean when I say we have to audit the very concept of value. Not to reject measurement. Not to throw out the ledger and go live in a cave, but to become conscious of the framework. To ask who built this system, what did they believe, and does that belief actually serve me, or does it serve a version of success I never actually chose? The Medici were geniuses. They helped birth the Renaissance and funded some of the greatest art and thought in human history. But they also helped birth a world where profit tracking became self-tracking, where the ledger became the mirror we use to decide whether our lives are working. And that mirror deserves a serious look. Next episode, we go deeper into the Renaissance banking world and explore how the spread of credit systems rewired the relationship between trust, time, and human character. That one is going to shake some things loose. If this episode made you think differently about success or value, drop a comment below. I genuinely want to know what your audit is turning up. Hit that like button if this kind of deep dive is worth your time, subscribe so you never miss an episode in the Master Ledger series, and share this with someone who is ready to ask harder questions about money. I'll see you in the next one.